Welcome to the First 40, the Goon Squad Sports Radio Show podcast. It is I, Puma, along with Black Thor and Ice Water. How you doing, Black Thor?
I'm feeling good, man. How about you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Ice Water, how you doing?
Yes, sir.
Ice Water got the slick fade.
Ha ha!
Got the slick fade today.
You know what? Somebody got to do it. It's a new year, baby. Let's get it. Might have some more fans out there.
Right.
Trying to be like Black Thor.
I want to start with this story because it's a quote unquote breaking story with Eli Manning retiring. And Black, were you like me when you heard this story, like about time?
Come on, Eli should retire when they fired Coughlin. That was years ago. I mean, you going to wait now until you retiring? Come on, bro. I guess he kind of sent out feelers. His agent probably tested the water. Like nobody wants him.
Right.
So now he's going to retire. Yeah, I mean, come on, please. You should have been done 5-6 years ago, bro. Retiring from what? Throwing interceptions?
I think you're right, man. I think he put the feelers out, and he wants to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and that's not happening. I'm going to read off some of his numbers, Ice. Two-time Super Bowl MVP. I'll give him that. 366 touchdown passes, almost 60,000 yards in passing. He got 57,000 yards in passing. He had 244 interceptions, and he's at 500, 117 and 117. And they're asking the question, the Hall of Famer. I know we talked about this a few weeks ago. I don't think so. I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. You're probably laughing when Eli Manning announced his retirement. What do you think about Eli Manning retiring today?
Well, retirement. I kind of feel sorry for him in a way, and you know I do, and I tell you why. Because it's a long journey. It's hard to be in the league like that, and he had a lot of pressure on him being a little brother, and often in ways he surpassed his big brother. But the one thing I will say, I know you guys are Giants fans or have been, so you see it from a different perspective. But for him, I'm glad he walked away without hanging on, because some guys don't know when to walk away, and I like that from him, because if you don't have it anymore and nobody's trying to sign you, walk away. Walk away. As far as being a Hall of Famer, down the line probably just because he's a Manning. Listen, we know how that rolls, but he's got a golden ticket, bro, and he beat Brady twice, kinda. But he got a golden ticket, so he's gonna make it.
Black, I know you're on the East Coast, man. What are they saying? What are are people shocked, or what are they saying?
No, I think the mere fact that they draft that quarterback and they see the future of him being the Giants quarterback is quiet, man. There's really no talk, He's going to make the Hall of Fame. Just the mere fact that he won 2 Super Bowls. I don't think he's MVP of both. First Super Bowl that he won, he was not the MVP of that Super Bowl. I'm sorry. The Giants defense, their front 4, their front 7 was the MVP of that game. And they basically, they favored quarterbacks. He's probably going to get in just primarily because he's a Manning, but also too, he had duration. You got to give him credit. I mean, the guy showed up every Sunday. He never, kind of had an injury where he did not play. He was durable. He was reliable. That's going to amount for something. And he played for a long period of time. And for the most part, other than being a Giants fan, most people like Eli. Just the fact that he didn't say too much. He just kind of went about his job. So he's a likable guy in that sense. And, when it comes down to the Hall of Fame voting, if they like you, you're going to be in. It's like, what's the name now? Drew Pearson. They don't like that cat. He can throw all the parties he wants, whatever. Drew Pearson, for whatever reason, he played cocky. He talked cocky. He rubbed people the wrong way. And that's part of the reason why I'm not saying his talent should have been in the Hall of Fame, but that's part of the reason why they won't probably put him in.
Okay. I want to step to you before we go to Derek Jeter and the Hall of Fame. Drew Pearson, he was visibly upset a few weeks ago when he didn't make the Hall. You being a Dallas Cowboy fan, what are your thoughts behind that?
Well, I understand as a player why he might be upset, and it sounds as if the Hall or some people kind of play with him a little bit, kind of like let him gave some hints. But I know he's a grown man; he should be above that. But when you put all your hard work in there and thinking you're going to be close to making it, then I can see that. But I'll say this: I was looking at something the other day that. Does he deserve to be in there? I think he could be in there. I'm not sure that he will now, but I look at Harold Carmichael, okay? Harold Carmichael was in the league a lot longer. He made it. That's great. But, like, we're throwing in these, and you might call me crazy, or maybe I'm just old school, and you might call me a Dallas Cowboy fanatic, whatever you want to say. But I'll say this, that when I look at the Rams, the 2 Ram receivers that were up this year, I don't know if either one of them made it, and I compared Drew Pearson, I'm kind of like, those are the same 2 guys. How do they stand out? Drew Pearson played a long time, might have pissed some people off, and he was good. And plus, I think people still, there must be some writers from Minnesota that still pissed off at that offensive pass interference championship game catch.
Oh, when he pushed off?
Yeah. So there's a lot of haters out there on that, and they just mad at Dallas because of the Herschel Walker trade. So it's a lot of things. He may not get in, bro, but I think he's worthy.
Speaking of looking for sports writers, Derek Jeter gets into the Hall of Fame, but one writer says no. I don't know who that writer is. He's probably from the Boston Red Sox. So Derek Jeter gets in, Larry Walker, along with Ted Simmons, Marvin Miller. They're going to be inducted in July 26th. The guys that didn't: Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling. Ice, you're the baseball guy. What do you think about the inductees this year?
Well, I mean, we knew Jeter was a given because of his popularity. He really could play. He was an all-around guy, kept his nose clean. So I didn't have a problem with that. I knew that was going to happen, and people, this is his time. Larry Walker was very good, serviceable, but I don't really know about that. Simmons was around for a long time. Hell of a catcher, and played well too. So I'm up on that because here's what I look at. You look at numbers, and sometimes you got to look at numbers. I was comparing Larry Walker's numbers or some of his achievements. He's a 7-time Gold Glover, 5-time All-Star, and he won 3 batting titles in 17 years, right? Mm-hmm. 22 years, Barry Bonds was a 7-time MVP. Let me say that again. 7-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, okay? So I know people hating on him, but sometimes you got to let that stuff roll off and just put a big old asterisk. Everybody.
Black doing the injection needle.
I mean, that's fine. But hell, that was their era. That was everybody. Damn near. When you have 5'5" dudes playing shortstop, coming back out a year and hitting 40 home runs, you never heard of that back in the day. You never heard of that. But I'm just saying, they make their choices. But I will say this: Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens received a lot more votes.
Yeah.
I mean, pushing Curt Schilling there, but Curt Schilling was cool, but Curt Schilling was no Roger Clemens, and he damn sure wasn't as good as Barry Bonds. So hopefully they get in, and I understand Mark McGwire might be done.
Yeah.
I think he was left off. So I don't know. If you're gonna lump them all together with the steroids, then everybody has to go. You just can't say because I don't like Barry Bonds he shouldn't get in.
Yeah, I think the Larry Walker, to me personally, was a dig at Barry Bonds, Black. I know you were doing the injection with the steroids and everything. What do you think about Derek Jeter? I know they're singing his praises in New York, and he was one of my favorite Yankees of all time. What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame?
Derek Jeter basically, in my opinion, made fans such as myself that may not want to pay attention to baseball pay attention to baseball. Mm-hmm. For that reason alone, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, just I'm not even gonna look at what he did his stats. For that reason alone, he brought you to the ballpark or to the TV screen if he was playing, especially if it's in a World Series or a playoff game. If you knew he was out there playing, you paid attention. They may have gotten more people to kind of turn around, but I think it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna be a cold day, man, for the writers to really kind of roll over on Clemens and Bonds. And they did some good things, but it's tainted. It's just tainted, and it just is. And baseball is one of those sports that strives to stay traditional and pure, and it's far from it. It's far from it. But it believes in all that. It's the only sport, to me, that always goes back to the 40s, the 20s, and the 30s, and they have these old heroes, and they keep rolling them out. In that sense, it's going to be hard to roll out Clemens and roll out Bonds, and knowing that there's a good possibility they was on the juice. So I think it's going to be interesting if they do get in. I just don't think it's going to be anytime soon. It might be one of those situations where one of them pass and they decide, I hate to say this, but one of them passed, one of them still living. And then the next year, the one that passed, they throw in, and the sentiments might get the other one in. But I think they're going to kind of toy around with them for a little while. I don't think they're going there, man. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, you look at Pete Rose, anybody, I know what he did, but let's talk about his stats, what he did. And Pete Rose still doesn't get close to getting into the Hall of Fame. So it's not, when you get down to baseball, It's not based on what you did, what you accomplished. It's like the stain you left on the sport. And these guys are sentimental. I was listening to Michael Kay one day last week, and he said this, and I firmly believe people treat baseball like a religion. They just do. For whatever reason, they treat it like a religion. And if you screw around with it, you hurt their feelings, you hurt their religion. And that's how they look at them. They don't, it's beyond being a sport to them. It's like a religion. It's just hard for them to forgive and move beyond it.
You're right about that. Speaking of integrity and putting a stain on the game, Major League Baseball, the Dodgers want to petition Major League Baseball and stripping the championships from Houston and Boston. We talked about this last week, and I think it's the right thing to do, but not to give it to the Dodgers. So do you agree or disagree? Because I don't think the championship should go to the Dodgers, but I do think Houston and Boston should be stripped of their World Series championship. But
man, they earned it, bro. They earned it. And no, there's nothing that shows that because they were stealing signs or using equipment that they still had to hit the ball. They still had to pitch. When you look at the pitching that they had, they were dominant over the Dodgers, particularly Houston when they won. Dominant. So granted, even if they were hitting the ball like that, the Dodgers were not counteracting. And to me, it is very sad that a city council, an organization has a resort to go to the court to win a damn championship. How about getting the right manager? How about making the right calls? How about doing things you're supposed to do when you spend all that daggone money? How about doing that instead of whining that somebody used the camera? What happened the last times? Whose fault was that? Come on, man. Man up, as Black Thor say. Quit whining. That's what's wrong with it. Ain't no crying in baseball. Soft people. That's what Black Thor says all the time. I'm going to agree with him this time. Only one.
So, you're witnessing something that rarely happens. Black Thor and Icewater agreeing. But Black, I don't agree that the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are one of my teams. I don't believe they should get the championship over this. I just think that Houston and Boston, it should be stripped. No champion that year. Matter of fact, the postseason never existed. But when I saw this, I'm like, oh, man, that's not the way you want to win a championship.
You know what? It's sad because as fans, you're so emotionally invested and you forget that this is a business, bro. The bottom line, it's a business. And they made so much money off that World Series. You tell them to go back now on emotions. Okay, please this one, please that one, shut that one up. Let's look at the football season we just experienced, man. Your pop's running around these younger girls, and he got, he came in second place. You'll hear me and Ice complaining about that, talking about, you know what? We want an investigation. We want all this. We're dealing with it. You know what I mean? We didn't figure that out yet, but we'll get to it at some point. But it is what it is, bro. When you go out there to play, you do the best you can. And wherever the chips lay, if they fall, you let them fall and move on. Like I said, man up, stop all this whining. You mean tell me LA Council, you got time to take this bull up and talk about this? Seriously, I wouldn't want this. I wouldn't want a World Series if that's how I had to get it. I wouldn't want it. As a player, this is how you want to earn a World Series? No, you know what? If I would want anything, it's LA telling you, let's play the World Series over again. How about doing that? That's better than stripping up. Let's go back into a neutral place and we play it all over again and play a series, see what happens. You know what? That will get people to watch. But to merely say, give me the championship, I'm going to give it to you. It's like a bunch of preschoolers, bro. Seriously. It's over with. Move on. I'm amazed that people are whining and complaining about this ESPN taking a poll, 54%. Who cares? You know how much money they made off the World Series? It's done, bro. They can start hitting balls in Florida next month. You think MLB care about this anymore? You think they really care, bro? Once they start eating hot dogs and drinking beer, nobody's gonna be talking about this in about a month. I'm serious, man. Move on.
Almost April.
Yes.
It's almost wing season. Like I said, I don't think the Dodgers should get it, but I think for the integrity of baseball, they should be stripped. Just like in boxing, if a champion is caught cheating or steroids, they strip them of a title. In college basketball, they'll strip you of your conference championship. So I think it should follow in that process. But for the Dodgers to get it after they strip them, nah, no deal, no dice.
Hey, can I throw one last thing in there?
Yeah.
we talked about integrity in baseball, and then we mentioned about Barry Bonds and the steroids. But when you look at the baseball, there's been some shady characters in there. And you look at Ty Cobb, everybody knows his background now once we found out about it. Do you realize, I found out today, that he received over 98% of approval when he was voted into the Hall of Fame?
Really?
And I understand the time and all, but still, a lot of people knew what was going on. So that shows you sometimes these writers are fickle as hell. And of course, they didn't have the best interests of the other people at hand. I still think the same role goes true. Is true today, which is why Derek Jeter wasn't unanimous. Are you kidding me? Who the f was that?
Yeah, I want to know who that is. You know, like 45 want to know who was the whistleblower. I want to know who the reporter was that voted against Derek Jeter. He should have been unanimous, but he's in. He's in. Black, I'm gonna go to you real quick on this story. Maya Moore says, "Hey, I'm taking a second year, and I'm not coming to the WNBA." Personally, when I saw that, I personally think she's done.
I do too. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too. I think she's beyond it. She's accomplished so much in a short period of time. I mean, she has, you know, a religious, strong foundation. She's found some calling, doing something else, helping some people that are probably in jail and don't deserve to be there. Incarcerated, the word I was looking for. I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her. I think she's done. I don't think she's feeling it. I don't think she's feeling it. I mean, the new contract, if that didn't kind of motivate her to get back out there and play, she's won. She's won on the collegiate level. She's won on the high school level. She's won in the WNBA. I mean, realistically, what is else for her to prove? And I think the way that her last season ended, she took a lot of flack. She did some things. She wasn't herself. She wasn't mentally there. I think behind the scenes, the team might have got on her a little bit. She kind of realized, you know what, I don't need this anymore. And kudos to her, man. I mean, if she found something else to do that satisfied her in her life, I'm happy for her. I'm thankful for the time I had a chance to watch her and see her grow and watch her perform hard. But that's it, man. If she found something else to take her away from it, God bless.
Ice, this would be a major blow to the WNBA with all the changes they're making and trying to pay women more, and they need that star power. What do you think about Maya Moore saying, you know, I'm taking a second year off?
Well, I think that I was surprised by it, but I think if she's found something that is her calling or something that she really wants to do and she's at peace with, then she's made the money. She's done some great things. She's one of the greatest basketball players, will be considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And like Black Thor said, I'm happy for her. The only thing is, I watched the story about the young man that she's trying to help, and he's like a brother to her. He's fighting a hell of a battle from a legal standpoint. I listened to all of the facts and whatnot, and I just hope for her that if it does not turn out the way she wants it, that it doesn't break her spirit, because she's all in, bro. She's all in. She's going to visit this guy and see him, you know, in the whole nine. And I mean, she's just taking him up under her wing as a brother, as other people involved. I just hope that if it doesn't turn out where he's released, that he still has to do serious time, that she's able to still stand tall and it doesn't break her spirit. Because for some people, when they are not able to accomplish things like that, it can really be detrimental. So I'm gonna pray for her for that.
All right, I'm gonna stay with you on this one, Ice. The NFL recap. We had championship Sunday, and now it's Kansas City against San Francisco. I think we all called it last week that these were the two teams that will be standing after last weekend's game. I want you to give a recap of what you saw in those games, man.
Well, we'll first start off with Tennessee, Kansas City. I think everything that we talked about came out. The whole point of it was Tennessee needed to use a lot of ball control and try to hold Kansas City's offense down, and try to score as much as they could. They did it for a minute, but then, of course, they kind of just ran out of juice. And then, unfortunately, when you have, even though Derrick Henry was running the way he was, if you get into a track meet with Kansas City, you can't keep up. You had to control them. And their defense tried, but they just couldn't do it. The other thing that we saw, too, from Kansas City is they were able to use all their weapons. And that's when they're dangerous. It was no longer Kelsey, okay? Kelsey wasn't the guy. Hill was okay. The guy ends up being Sammy Watkins, like the third or fourth option. That's how many weapons that they have. And once that's happening, you are in trouble. Tennessee's one hell of a team. They did what they did well. Tannehill wasn't horrible, but they got caught up in a track meet. And they've been able to stop the previous teams before them, Baltimore and et cetera. but they couldn't do it this time. So that's why Kansas City moves on. In regards to San Francisco and Green Bay, San Francisco used what they brought them around mostly for the most of the year when they were healthy. That's old school hard nosed football. Get physical, run the ball. If the quarterback throws 6 passes, who gives a damn? Let's win the football game. And they were able to stop Aaron Rodgers. I think part of this shows, from a defensive standpoint, that Green Bay, they're lacking a lot of weapons. You look at Jones, who's a hell of a back. You look at Adams, and of course the quarterback is trying to do some things, but they lacked a lot of talent. They lacked a lot of talent, and San Francisco was able to be physical, punish them, use old school football. You have Moser scored 4 touchdowns?
Yeah,
200-some yards on the ground, and they just got after Aaron Rodgers, and they quietly but slowly, ugly, if that's a word, just willed themselves to a victory. And at the end of the day, all that matters is that they won, and now they're set up to face have a very interesting matchup versus a very good Kansas City team. I'm looking forward to this game because it could go one way or another. So I know we'll talk about that, but yeah.
I remember texting you two and saying Garofalo only threw 6 passes, and they were just punishing him. And I think he's still a good quarterback. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, if he can't throw more than 6 passes, he's a good quarterback." Didn't need to. And one of the things that I saw in the Tennessee game is that, and I think one of you mentioned it, if Tennessee gets behind, how are they going to catch up to Kansas City with that offense? Mm-hmm. And don't forget Robinson and Hardman from Kansas City, those receivers, they're dangerous too. Black, your eye test, man.
Let's start with Kansas City, man. I was impressed with I like the way Tennessee kind of battled and hung in there. But Kansas City just had too much, as I said. They're 3rd and 4th they go to, and they're just so deep offensively. But realistically, to me, man, the 3rd and 4th quarter, their defense stepped up, man.
Yes.
Their defense stepped up. And Henry, those 7-yard gashes cut down to 2 and 3 yards. That impressed me more so anything else about that game. The way their defense came around, was able to stop the run, because they haven't done much of that all year. And I'm going to contribute that to the defensive coordinator. I mean, this cat finds a way, and he makes adjustments during the game. And, of course, he was the defensive coordinator for a period of time for the New York Giants. And to me, that was the most impressive thing about that game, where they kind of just took what they had going in the first half. They took it away, and they couldn't do much more. I think Tennessee got to sign Henry. I mean, I know you don't want to pay running backs. You got to sign that cat, bro.
Yeah.
There's no way you let him on a free market. I mean, you let him go, you're changing the scope of your whole offense, whether you want to believe it or not. Pay him. Stop being stupid, because you're close. You're very close. If you look at it now, it's probably the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Titans that can basically dominate the AFC for the next 4 to 5 years if they choose to. Green Bay, I find to be really interesting. San Fran, don't get me wrong, their team is deep. They're well coached. And it's funny because I thought about this that night I was watching the game. I think Shanahan was, when he was offensive coordinator of Atlanta Falcons, when they lost to the Patriots, it taught him something. Mm-hmm. It really, because that game, he didn't make any changes. Well, he did make changes. He came away from the run that game when instead of trying to slow it down, he kept trying to throw it in the Super Bowl. And this game here, the run was working. I don't care if they threw a 1 pass. He was not going away from it. He went with the hot hand, and he just kept doing. But his play calling is phenomenal, man. This cat has some players. You sit there, once they kind of do the replay, and you look at him like what he diagnosed and what he calls, like, damn. And they're unselfish. And you got your tight end blocking like an offensive lineman. You got your receivers blocking like offensive linemen, and they're running all over the place. It's hard to stop them. I saw where LaFleur, the Green Bay head coach, was saying that he don't think his team was ready for the game or hyped up for the game. That's your job as a head coach, bro.
Yeah.
That's your job, to get them motivated, get them prepared for the moment. You can't come out a few days later and say that, you don't think, that's your job. You got to get in their heads. You got to get them prepared. Not only that, you got to make some changes, man. They came on the field doing what they was doing all year, and they came on the field in reality scared of San Fran, because they took their butt whipping earlier in the years. They were scared. They didn't come on determined thinking that they could win. And once San Fran started to pull away, that's what you saw. There was no fighting spirit. There was nothing. So I pushed that a little bit back on the coach. But Aaron Rodgers, which I know that was coming at him, but I can't remember the last time I seen most of his passes go off the way they were on Sunday. A lot of his passes were behind the receivers. It was too high. And I mean, I like Aaron Rodgers, and I know, he's been through a lot, but I'm starting to think for that cat, the window is starting to close a little bit. It's starting to close because if you got San Fran to kind of go through, next year, Seattle's going to probably be better, so I don't see how Green Bay, I mean, they're going to do what they do during the regular season, but they're not going through San Fran no time soon. They're just not doing it. They're not doing it.
My thing, that's interesting that people keep saying that, because my thing is that, Green Bay won about, 12, 13 games this season?
Mm-hmm.
And, the door closing, I think they need some pieces. And we're going to be talking about it in the podcast later. The teams that didn't make it, like Green Bay, Houston, Tennessee, New England, Baltimore, and Seattle, what do they need to get back to or get to a Super Bowl level? I can't see, with all the tools and pieces that Green Bay had, I think they had a good season. They just didn't have enough to beat San Francisco. San Francisco, and you text me this, Black, San Francisco got, they're just stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, position,
very efficient.
position play, yeah, and very efficient. And they're just stacked. And I think I text back, this reminded me of the game in week 12 when they went out to San Francisco and San Francisco handed to them. It was almost the same score at halftime.
But let me just say this about Green Bay Packers. This is why I said the window was closing. When the last time the Green Bay Packers had a full squad on both sides of the field? They're always either strong on offense and their defense is lacking. It's always that way. So I'm saying that it's going to take a while to get there, and I don't see it happening. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers he was 2 or 3 years ago. Not that he's saying he's dropping off fast, but he's not who he was. And they got a pretty good running game now, but they got gashed in the running game. And not only that, they can't tackle, bro.
Yeah.
They can't tackle. They cannot tackle. Simple tackles they can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they got Aaron Rodgers for, I think, 4 more years under contract. So, I didn't want to go against Aaron Rodgers, but I saw in week 12 what San Francisco did to him. And I'm like, okay, what are they going to do different to beat this team? And it seems like that rush was after Aaron Rodgers. And I think that would explain a lot of those passes, seeing ghosts, things of that sort. When you don't have an offensive line that can protect you, you're not going to be too accurate behind there.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
I think that Black Thor is on to something, because I swore I wish Seattle would have had another chance at San Francisco. Because I think they played them better.
Yes.
They have a different philosophy. And they lost all of their running backs. They brought back Lynch, and they still got it done. I mean, you look at Lockett, Lockett doing pretty decent. You got the young guy, DK Metcalf. But there's a way that you approach the game and the belief in your quarterback and so many other things. When you look at Seattle on paper, you don't go, oh, man, that's the most dominant team or whatever. But they came to play. And San Francisco knew it even the last time that they played. They were this close to defeating them, and they would have flipped the seeds. So Green Bay needs to do some work. I mean, they need more talent, but they also have the different philosophy. So why is it that Seattle was able to hang, but Green Bay wasn't able to twice? I mean, there was no contest.
I'm going to throw you another team out there that played them well throughout the season. Didn't beat them. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Played them well. Matched up well with them. Come on, man.
Yeah. I know we're going to be talking about what do they need. And so I know Green Bay needs a lot. And I will give them credit. They did step up and do some things that they didn't do. I remember they didn't draft anybody one year, and they needed a lot of pieces, and they just went with what they had. So at least they're stepping up a little bit. Black, I'm going to go through this next story. I know you don't know anything about NCAA basketball, but I know you saw the brawl. You saw the brawl. What's the impact? Because I know there are some suspensions that are out. The kid Sosa, I didn't see the game, but I saw the highlights. And, man, it was like, what was on this kid's mind, man?
Yeah, it's sad because it's showing that here again, a lot of these kids are parents until they get there, and they're carrying this age, and it's an in-state type of thing, and a lot of this hype kind of, to me, kind of builds up. A lot of times you have like in-state rivalries, and it kind of explode on the court. But I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to yield my time, and I'm going to get out of the way real quick. Why is Bill Self still coaching? Because I thought they had him left and right, bro. And that's not where you went with the question. I apologize for that, but when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's good to spend these kids, but why is he still coaching? And the NCAA, you got been hitting. That's the funny thing. You got this man on tape talking about money, and you're going to suspend these kids from fighting. That's what young boys, young men do. It is what it is. I'm not saying it's pretty, but it's what happens. They get knocked down for 12 games, whatever. This cat's still coaching like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's basketball, bro?
That's good. That was a great point. Great point.
Yep.
Ice?
Well, I mean, it's time for Sosa to bounce, man. Because you notice he was one of the major so-called focuses in the scandal.
Right.
He was the guy that's supposedly that received money. His name has been he's had opportunity coming from overseas, and he had a great story trying to rebound and get himself together. But he's been all around the program, and now he's doing this. I mean, I understand what Black Thor is saying. It's time to go for him. And like we know how it is. Why is Archie Miller still coaching over at Arizona? And I'm gonna throw this other one out at you. I just thought about this, switching sports real quick, and I don't want to jump around too much. But you always talk about the steroids and Barry Bonds and juicing up. But how in the hell did Bud Selig get in the Hall of Fame when he was the commissioner when all that BS was going on? Answer that question, my brother.
You two are hot tonight, boy.
I ain't gonna lose the Hall of Fame.
I forgot about Bud Selig.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
My question,
Is there an asterisk over his face?
Right.
No, but my question, I got a bigger question. How you the commissioner and then own the Milwaukee Brewers? That's enough. How that happen? Where that happen at?
Right. Any eye test, Black, on college basketball, man?
I didn't get a chance to kind of catch too much, man, so I yield my time. I will pick up because I know March Madness is coming. You know what? Now, I got to do well on March Madness. I usually do, so, I got to keep ice on his toes. So I will start to pay attention.
Ice water, eye test?
Yeah, you better pay attention because it's hot here, baby. It's hot. It's hot. Anyway, great games over the week. Louisville defeats Duke at home. Great game to watch. Florida destroyed Auburn. They lost 2 in a row. DePaul, Puma, the favorite team, manhandled Butler. That was very impressive. Kansas State beat West Virginia, even though they got bounced by Kansas. Houston defeated ranked Wichita State. Seton Hall and St. John's was a great game. Penn State just manhandled the Buckeyes, got revenge from a loss earlier on the road. And even though they're not going to the championship, Rutgers, man, defeated Minnesota. Rutgers been winning some impressive ball games.
There have been some surprises in the top 25, and I know we're going to talk about those later. Gonzaga was maybe number 1 for 2 weeks, and then they dropped them down to number 2 and put Baylor. Baylor's playing some good ball, but you know how it's been this season. If you're number 1, you got a target on your back. So Baylor, watch your back. This next story I want to get to, we didn't talk about it, but David Stern passed away while we were away, and they had his funeral yesterday. Black, your thoughts about David Stern?
I'm always going to remember the way that he kind of brought the NBA out of the dark ages. Remember, I know when we were younger, man, there were tape delay games, bro.
Right.
You were watching the NBA at 11:30 and 12 midnight. You complain now when games are on 9, 10 o'clock, whatever. The games were tape delayed. Sometimes it probably was pre-recorded. And you stayed up late and you watched, man. And he kind of took it, don't get me wrong, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson helped propel it. But he kind of basically took the steering wheel and brought the NBA into people's homes for the most part and made it exciting. Of course, Michael Jordan came along. But he found a way to basically take the sport and move from here and bring it up here. And I'm not saying he probably was the easiest guy to work with, but when people basically think of him, they need to think and look at the NBA for how it's progressed. He was huge, monumental in making that happen, and they owe him a debt in a sense. So yeah, I always remember for that, man. This is the way he kind of took the NBA out of the dark ages and brought it into homes.
Yeah, I remember those times where we had to stay up late and watch the NBA on CBS, and then when Magic and Bird came to the league, he took that opportunity to take the NBA to not only another level, but skyrocket.
Yeah.
And what I will also remember him for is, I don't know how he did it. He put the card in the refrigerator, bent it on the end, but he got Patrick Ewing to the New York Knicks. Somehow, some way, David Stern is responsible for that. Hopefully there's a story that comes out to say, yeah, he really did it. David Stern.
Yeah, really made that modern transition, and he was able to help the modern player be accepted. I mean, there was a little twists and turns as far as the tattoos and whatnot, and made them wear clothes that were decent. But in the end, everybody was able to fit up under the umbrella. And it says a lot about the factor that he made it global with the Dream Team. I mean, that is second to none. He made that global. So many other things, but and I think he started to realize too that you couldn't just do it his way. He had to be open to it was a new kind of a player. It's a different culture, and it says a lot of things about him. But overall, I think people are gonna remember what he's done. Also, too, the factor that he left a legacy that now the next commissioner can build up on. Because remember back in the day with Larry O'Brien and back in those days with the pop bottle glasses, there was a lot going on, and they struggled to be seen. And last but not least, he probably was the one to make sure that car was flipped. You said about Patrick Ewing. Hell, what about LeBron going to Cleveland? We're going to leave that one right there. Because I swear, there's no way in hell that happened unless them balls wasn't tight.
All right, we got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to stay with you with this one, Ice, real quick. Zion's back with the Pelicans. We're going to say bye-bye to the LeBron highlights and Zion is back?
Maybe, but I'll just say this. And I've looked at him and I was like, okay, I'm glad he's back. But somebody, the nutritionist, man, get that dude to lose some weight, man. He going to get hurt. I'm serious. That dude is big. I didn't realize it. I said, damn, that's a big motherfucker. I was like, oh my
goodness. For a long time, man.
I'm really watching him now. I won't. Duke was like, all right, but now he's in the pros, man, he got to drop some weight, bro, because all that pounding and it's cute when you dunking, but you can't do that in the league. Somebody gonna hurt you. You're gonna be on IR for 72 games. Come on, bro.
Man, ain't nothing cute about that dude dunking. He's just nasty. Black, is it bye-bye to LeBron now since they got the ticket now?
Oh yeah. If he can stay healthy, he can play. I know he can play, but if he can stay healthy and stay on the floor, oh, absolutely. And I welcome it, bro. I am so sick and tired hearing about that other cat, man. I can't take it anymore, man. I hear his voice, man. I just can't take it no more, man. Enough is enough. 17 years of that is more than enough. He had a good run. It's time for him. You got what's name out there playing well in Atlanta. You don't even hear about him at all, man. No. Trey, they talk about LeBron and Anthony Davis so much. And I'm also happy. I didn't watch the game. But I'm also happy that Celtics put it on them a couple of days ago, bro.
Oh,
so
LeBron
happy.
Dunked on LeBron? Oh,
yes.
Man.
I'm just so happy, bro, because it's time for these young cats to show him, you know what? Go sit down in the rocking chair. You done it. Go sit down. We ain't scared of you no more. We'll take that Anthony Davis down with you too.
Hey, I'm gonna say, can I say something real quick? When we got a minute.
Go ahead.
Hey, the Clippers are no joke. I watched them twice. I watched them last night and tonight. Kawhi Leonard is probably the best player in the damn league.
Yeah.
I'm serious. He's nasty. You got Lou Williams. They're like, we don't even care no more. Look, and Paul George didn't even play last night. It's like, damn. Clippers, if they stay healthy with the way they play defense, it's a wrap, bro.
Yeah, I have to say him and the Greek Freak. Those are the guys right there. I still got to go with Milwaukee until they get knocked off in the East. I gotta
you hold on to that. You hold on to that.
I got to stay with Milwaukee.
You hold on to that.
Put that Cobra on them.
Yeah, okay. Look, he ain't going to beat the Clippers with the two damn Lopez brothers. I keep trying to tell you.
We'll see. All right, we're going to switch it over to the podcast on Blog Talk Radio. We will see you next time. Catch our show on YouTube. Later.
Yeah.